AI and deep fakes are changing fraud, and it's not for the better. What's up, everybody? Welcome aboard to Bubba's Bottom Line for Sunday, June the 20th. And of course, we just came through and had our wonderful Juneteenth holiday, which is, I don't know, a joke in itself. But again, as we said, the amount of fraud being created with AI and deepfakes is getting worse and worse, and especially preying on those who lack any technology skills to understand that they're being hacked. And I mean, just in my own personal life, I've been called and attacked, I don't know, 20, 30 times in the last couple of weeks just on Medicare alone. Uh, it's an issue, and of course, we need to get this issue under control. But we've got other things that, suddenly we noticed that the Russia and Ukraine war has kind of gone unnoticed. Think about that. That's been going on for years, and suddenly we don't hear about it anymore. But of course, Russia vows massive group strikes on Ukraine after drone swarm attack. So we're still helping finance the Russian-Ukraine war. We're still financing the Iran problem, and of course what is it, the MOU of understanding. That's bullshit. There's no way that that holds. It is no way that it holds together. But what you have noticed is the continued decline in crude oil, which I told you from the beginning was all bullshit to begin with, and that the prices were too high. We have a weak economy here. We have an overwhelming glut of oil, and there is no reason for prices to be higher. I think that there's no greater threat to America's way of life. The Senate unanimously passes a resolution to condemn CCP China Xi. Look, China is not our friend. Okay, we built China. And it's because of our unwillingness to quit funding them through all the money we send there. And I've said this for years. I don't understand it. I don't understand why we make special movies for them. We don't try to offend them. And I'm not saying we should go out and offend them, but I don't think that we should be feeding them the capital that we feed them either. Again, I don't know. Again, maybe I'm wrong. This is certainly my opinion. It doesn't necessarily make it fact. But I think you're looking for trouble, and we know that China has, as we said many times before, the 100-year plan to take over the world, and they're doing their best to do so. Um, Government regulations add approximately $132,000 to the cost of a new house. I don't know about you, but I'm pretty sick and tired of paying all these fucking taxes that we pay, from whether it be at the gas pump, whether it be at the store, whether it be income tax. What do we need? The size of government that we need. Why are we funding a lot of these benefits that, first of all, the real truth of the matter is I have no problem funding those that are really in need. My real problem is the amount of stealing that goes on from our own government officials. Okay. I mean, Hildebrand's son just graduated college. They gave him $30 million to start a new business. Again, I don't understand what this is about. And of course, Tulsi Gabbard on her last day dropped the Fauci COVID-19 receipts. He funded the research, cooked the cover story, and then lied to Congress. But yeah, there he is walking around. If you remember, if you've been watching Bubba's Bottom Line for any number of years, we called it when it happened. It was bullshit. And I stand by it today that COVID is bullshit and is nothing more than a scam, anyways. But that's another story. Retail sales surged in May. Why do you think the retail sales surged? Okay. We get excited about these stupid shit numbers. Okay. Why did retail sales explode? Well, it's probably because the price of gasoline is higher, which is part of the retail component. The cost of the stores were higher, which is cost of the retail component. So we're not necessarily comparing apples to apples. we're comparing a high inflation time versus a lower. Again, you can do whatever you want with the numbers. The numbers don't lie. The people who report them do. Um, data breaches will continue to get identity fraud, and you don't think that's a serious problem? It is a very serious problem. And again, for many who might be technologically savvy, you can catch it. I will give you all this one warning now that we all have our smartphones and everything and check email. I would never open an email on my phone that I could not identify who the sender was. You know, you get emails from the banks, from whatever that are phonies. You got to check the email who's sending it to you, and then you'll get a better idea. Trump administration has achieved record drug seizures. Pretty good. So, but of course, we know that many don't want law and order. They like the drugs flowing in because, of course, many in the government, in our government, benefit from those illegal drugs flowing in. Just another thing to think about. But I think the big story this week, not besides the new chair, Kevin Warsh, which we'll talk about in our commentary, and the Fed announcement was the default private credit default remains at a record high. Okay, so again, look, I'm not telling you the markets are going to collapse. I'm not telling you the economy is going to collapse. I'm just telling you that the warning signs continue to mount from the zero down financing once again. So if we give you the numbers one more time, 13% of credit card debt 90 days past due. 7% of auto loans in default. 5% of mortgages in default. I don't know. You tell me. It ain't getting any better. This is Bubba's Bottom Line, Top Bubba Horowitz. It is Sunday, June the 20th. We're going to step out for a break. We'll be back with our market report right after the break. Bubba's Bottom Line. What's up, kids? Welcome aboard. And of course, you don't see my daily trade finder, but of course, that is product doing very well. Of course, we did have our first losing week this week, but hey, again, that's going to happen. But it is the daily trade finder. And of course, our brokerage sponsors, which I do have other brokers, but the ones we like the most, Trader Brokerage, $10 a month flat, do all of our automation. It is a terrific place, great customer service. It saves me about 100 grand a year. So certainly want to check them out. And of course, Capital Trading Group. There are partners in a lot of futures and commodity programs. Great people over there, great customer service. Great letter of direction trading, so check them out. And of course, the Joy of Mom, one of our investments. Great site, great place for moms to go for help, for advice, chat rooms, and the whole thing. And of course, our high school program, which again we continue to get pushback, but we're going to keep pushing forward. In the meantime, let's get back to Bubba's Bottom Line and our market report. Welcome back. It is Bubba's Bottom Line. It is Todd Bubba Horowitz. It is Sunday, June the 20th. Tomorrow, the summer solstice. In the meantime, markets, they're up a little bit. They got hammered on Wednesday after the Fed announcement, but then came roaring back. Of course, they were open on Friday, a little bit lower, but again, a little bit higher. Nothing, I don't think anything dramatic. Okay. I don't think anything unbelievable. I just think that what you're looking at is a market that still is trying to go higher, which is fine. We're not telling you that it can't go higher. There's been some signs, there's been some reasons to believe that we're headed lower. But at the end, again, we're not going to twist it. We're not going to force it. We're going to continue to trade it the way it is. And there's a lot of warning signs out there. We gave you right before we went to break, we gave you the debt structure, the private credit. So again, the zero down on new housing, does that sound familiar? So there's a lot of things to be concerned about, a lot of things to be worried about. But at the end of the day, markets are markets, and we're not going to fight them and tell you anything different. Uh, the indices were higher pretty much across the board last week. Again, nothing was dramatic. It was very slow, which is a little bit of issue. The VIX continues to struggle a little bit, so that will continue to keep us, more on the sidelines. But in the meantime, as we look, the four major indices were higher. We are short the S&P, and we are short the Nasdaq. The dollar is just over that $1 point. there hasn't been enough action for us to want to get involved. Euro currency was lower. We're still short. Bonds and notes were a little bit lower. We're still short. Bitcoin, yeah, stuck in a range between 60 and 65,000. Nothing too exciting. Gold continues to struggle a little bit, trying to push down to that double bottom once again. We're still long. Silver and platinum, again, continue to struggle. We'll see how it plays out. I think that they'll all make new highs this year before it's over, but we'll see. We have nothing to worry about. Copper continues to be in consolidation, but certainly uh, is higher than you would think. I mean, it's in the sixes, so we'll continue to see that. Grain markets continue to struggle. They did have a little bit of a bounce last week, but still well off their highs. We do like grains here. We think there's a much higher probability. It's almost like putting money in a bank account in this particular thing. I don't think there's much risk to the downside. Certainly, I'd be a buyer of the grains. Cattle, again, we haven't been able to find a spot to get in. Certainly are looking for a spot to sell it. Have not. Hogs continue to struggle, which is unusual. The cheaper protein, and they're going for the more expensive protein. So that makes some very interesting models here. Nat gas continues to just hover in that $3 range, a little bit over three. We'll start looking again at nat gas to the long side more seriously as we get towards the end of summer, another month to go or so. And crude got hammered once again, which again we've been talking about that. We said that crude was overpriced and it was bullshit, and here we have it. So at the end of the day, markets are markets. We're not going to fight them. Our overall net opinion is that they're ready to go lower. Okay. But we're still long. Okay. I'm still long and I will be hedged and long forever. And when I'm trading, I will be looking to trade to the short side. There's too many warning signs out there. And again, I'm not going to chase it. I think SpaceX is a big thing. SpaceX showed you it went parabolically higher and then it came, not plunging down, but I mean, it dropped, it went up to 225 or so and then came back down to 180. Okay. Pretty big move. So look, again, we don't dislike SpaceX. It's just when things go parabolic or perpendicular, there's going to be some pullback, and that's what we saw. So we'll see. Let's be careful. Let's see how the week trades out. Earnings season is going to start to begin here again in a week or so, a couple of weeks. So we'll be ready for that. In the meantime, this is Bubba's Bottom Line. It is Sunday. It is June 20th. We're going to step out here for our final break and come back with our commentary. Well, kids, just remember our sponsors, Trader Brokerage, Capital Trading Group, The Joy of Mom, our high school program, and our new product, the Daily Trade Finder. In the meantime, let's get back to Bubba's Bottom Line and our commentary. Welcome back. It is Bubba's Bottom Line. It is Sunday, June 20th. And of course, here we are. And we had our first taste of the new Fed chair, Kevin Warsh, Trump's hand-selected guy. But of course, as it turns out, not the dove I think that President Trump wanted. The meeting was hawkish. They are going to potentially hike rates 2 to 3 times this year. But I don't care about rate hikes or rate cuts. I think that's totally outside the Fed's boundaries. I think that's not part of their dual mandate. But let's talk about what I did think of Kevin Warsh. I thought he did a great job. Okay, now I'm an anti-Fed. I'd like to end the Fed, but I thought Warsh did a good job. I think he did a good job in trying to cut down on the bullshit and the thing and put together some committees and are going to really try to work on the economy and let the economy work on itself. Okay, and be there to aid it. I thought that the forward giving up the forward guidance was good. So I thought that they did a very solid job. Now, again, this is only one meeting, so we don't know if he's going to be. But at this point in time, okay, it looks to me that Kevin Warsh is going to be one of the best Fed presidents since I've been involved. Okay, which is I'm going to be 70, so um, I think he's doing a good job so far. Now, again, obviously, it's only one meeting, but the message that he relayed, the way that they really eliminated all the horseshit that Ben Bernanke brought to the Federal Reserve. Hopefully, it'll cut down the amount of Fed speak that is out there in the future. Hopefully, we'll get straight information and straight numbers. And hopefully, because we have to have the Fed, because they're not going to get rid of it, hopefully, Warsh will follow the plan that he set on Wednesday. That's the best we can hope for. So far, so good. In the meantime, this is Bubba's Bottom Line. Have a great weekend, everybody. Enjoy. Happy Father's Day to all you fathers. And we'll see you back here tomorrow with Bubba's Daily Update. And of course, next week with Bubba's Bottom Line. Have a great weekend, everybody. Thanks so much. We'll see you next week.